Good afternoon to a wonderful crowd. Thank you very much for coming today for this groundbreaking for renovations to what is a truly iconic building that will be on the completion of these renovations known as Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. These much anticipated changes and upgrades to Assembly Hall are being made possible through a $40 million extraordinarily generous gift, the largest in the Department of Athletics history, from IU alumna Simon Skjodt and her philanthropic organisation, the Sumerian Foundation. This extraordinarily generous gift has also helped to launch IU Athletics' ambitious and unprecedented $150 million capital campaign titled Catching Excellence, the campaign for Indiana University Athletics, which in turn will be part of IU's bicentennial campaign due to be completed at the end of 2019. In our plans for this iconic building will be to ensure that we maintain the character and experience of this venue while enhancing the functionality of the facility. Thus, we'll be preserving one of the greatest home court advantages in college basketball. We expect to complete these renovations in 2016. Now, I'm pleased that we've been joined here today by so many friends of Indiana University, and it's always a pleasure in gatherings such as this one to recognize those individuals who contribute so much to this campus and to the university community. And I'd like to introduce three members of the Board of Trustees of Indiana University who have joined us today, and I ask them to stand as I call their names, and would you please hold your applause until all three are standing. Mary Ellen K. Bishop of Carmel, Vice Chair of the Trustees, Philip Enescu Jr. of North Webster, and Jim Morris of Indianapolis. Please join me in welcoming our trustees. And I would also like to welcome a colleague who plays a vital role in the development and construction of all new and renovated IU facilities, and that is Indiana University Vice President for Capital Planning and Facilities, Thomas A. Morris. And Tom, where are you? Tom, please join me in welcoming Tom. And also with us today are members of the Simon Skjodt family, and I'm sure they'll be introduced later, and also Kenneth Gross-Lewis, University Chancellor Emeritus. Please join me in welcoming them as well. In a book with the marvelous title of Temples of the Earthbound Gods by Christopher Gaffney, he writes that stadiums and arenas matter to us because they are places where we share common emotions in a common place in a limited time frame. Games, concerts, and spectacles are momentous occasions that live on in our collective memory. And he continues, the limited space and time of the arena gives spectators a sense of privileged participation. I was there when is a proud claim made by millions who have attended all these kinds of events. Today, as we recall the many momentous occasions that live on in the collective memory of the millions who have experienced events at Assembly Hall, we mark the beginning of IU's effort to preserve and improve one of collegiate basketball's most iconic venues, so that future generations of Hoosier fans can continue to enjoy similarly unforgettable experiences. The rich history of IU basketball includes, of course, the history of the facilities that have been its home. Nearly 120 years ago, in 1896, Indiana University's 9th president, Joseph Swain, dedicated IU's first Assembly Hall, a wooden building that served as the General Assembly Hall for the university, in which a wide variety of university gatherings were held. The sport of basketball was then in its infancy, and the building became the home of IU's first basketball teams beginning in 1900. A little more than a decade after its construction, the building, by then known as Old Faithful, had deteriorated to the point where the student newspaper described it as being in such, quote, bad, unsatisfactory, and overcrowded condition as to be a positive menace to student health. The building was considered such a disgrace to the university that the Daily Student also wrote that, quote, the 1913 groundhog was scared by the sight of it before he saw his own shadow. They can't write like that anymore in the student newspaper. A series of much improved buildings, all of which are still part of the Bloomington campus, followed soon afterwards. The men's gymnasium, now part of the facilities of the IU School of Public Health. The field house, now known as the Wildermuth Intramural Centre, and the new field house, now known as the Harry Gladstein Field House. All of these facilities were the sites of many thrilling and historic games. And in 1971, Assembly Hall, one of the now most venerable and iconic venues in collegiate basketball, became home not only to the men's basketball team, but also to the women's basketball team, which became a varsity sport in that very year. The facility, of course, has had a long and storied history. It has been home to 3 national men's basketball championship teams and 13 conference championships. 5 years ago this month, I had the pleasure of dedicating Cook Hall, in which we now are, the magnificent basketball development facility that was made possible primarily through the remarkable generosity of the late Bill Cook and his wife Gail and other generous donors. And I understand Gail is here with us. Oh, Gail is here. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Gail as well. Well, this wonderful space, Cook Hall, is I think greatly valued and appreciated by everybody connected with IU basketball in it, and it is, I think, a truly wonderful complement to Assembly Hall. And while it is true that Assembly Hall is, as sportscaster Gus Johnson has called it, the Carnegie Hall of basketball, the building is now nearly 44 years old and sorely in need of major renovation. Of course, we're here today then in large part because of the generosity and vision of philanthropist and IU alumna Cindy Simon Skjodt. As I had the great pleasure of announcing in December of 2013 in Assembly Hall, Cindy and her philanthropic organisation, the Sumerian Foundation, made an extraordinarily generous gift of $40 million, the largest gift in the history of IU athletics, to be used for the much-needed extensive renovation of Assembly Hall. I was also very pleased to announce that, in honour of this landmark gift, when these renovations are complete, Assembly Hall will be renamed Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. And Cindy and her family have, of course, been extraordinarily generous supporters of Indiana University for many, many years. In 2013, Cindy very generously donated $2 million to endow a chair in the Heron School of Art and Design's Art Therapy program, a very, very innovative program that Cindy has helped crucially to support. The same year, Cindy also made a generous gift of $1.5 million to endow the Melvin Simon Chair in Philanthropy in the new IU Lilly Family School of Philanthropy on the IUPUI campus in honour of her late father, Melvin Simon. Of course, the Simon family name has long been synonymous with transformative philanthropy in the state of Indiana and across the nation, and it will be forevermore interwoven into the great achievements of Indiana University. The Simon family has supported our students through the Helene G. Simon Hillel Center. They have supported the arts through the IU Jacobs School of Music, and they have supported multidisciplinary life sciences research and other research through the award-winning Simon Hall. Their remarkable generosity also made possible the creation of the nationally recognized Melvin and Bren Simon Cancer Center in Indianapolis. And the family's vision and support have had a truly transformative and really tremendous effect on this university. Cindy, of course, has also been personally enormously generous with her time and her service to IU, serving as a member of the IU Foundation Board of Directors, the Women's Philanthropy Council, and as co-chair of the highly successful Matching the Promise campaign, which raised $1.14 billion for the Bloomington campus. And also, she has served as the co-chair of IU Athletics portion of the university-wide campaign that, as I said before, will be completed by IU's bicentennial in 2020. Cindy's generous gift, the gift that we celebrate today, and her outstanding leadership have already inspired many others to join the effort to preserve and improve one of the great venues in college athletics for the next generation of Hoosier basketball fans. Last week, for example, we announced that attorney Ken Nunn had made a generous gift of $2 million and that the renovated south entryway to Assembly Hall will be named in his honour. I know Mr. Nunn is with us today, and please join me in thanking him for his gift. And I want to thank the many other people who have also contributed to various aspects of this renovation project as well. And I would, of course, like to once again extend our deepest gratitude to Cindy Simon Skjodt, to her husband Paul, the owner of the Indiana Ice, who is with us here today, and to their entire family for their wonderful generosity. So join me again in thanking Cindy and Paul and the family. And your generosity will touch the lives of countless student athletes, coaches, alumni, and friends of IU, and it will help IU's men's and women's basketball programs to continue to thrive and to excel for many decades to come. In paying tribute to a number of America's historic major league baseball parks that were built in the early 20th century, John Zinn writes that for half a century or more after their construction, those facilities were cathedrals where countless people had unforgettable experiences, including their first game, special family memories, and moments of excitement, heartbreak, and of joy. The renovations that we begin here today will ensure that the next generation of IU alumni, friends, and fans will also be able to enjoy similar unforgettable experiences in Assembly Hall, one of the truly great cathedrals of basketball, just as the Simon family and so many others have done over more than 4 remarkable decades.